Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. We are very excited to have so much of you today with us. My name is Alina, and I'm an Education USA advisor, and we are here with another interesting webinar. We start this May with a nice topic that some of our international students don't really know about, but that's a very good tip when you start your preparation process. I would just like to remind you guys once again that Education USA Virtual is here with monthly webinars on interesting topics that can help you navigate through the application process for your studies in the US, either graduate or undergraduate. So you can go on our website and browse it more. You can find the nearest Education USA center located to your house, and our Education USA advisor will be very pleased and very happy to help you during your application or your research process for your studies. And today we have, as I said, an interesting topic that maybe some of the students wouldn't really focus on when they would concentrate or when they would choose to study in the US. But I consider that this should be well known, and there might be some terms that you have never found out about, and today you'll have a lot of information on each of that. So we have today Leandro and Lance from Troy University, and they have prepared an interesting presentation, which I consider you'll really enjoy today. You are more than welcome to submit your question, guys, in the chat. We will also answer those that you have addressed in advance, and we will also answer those that we will get today in the live chat. So hi, Lance and Leandro. I would really encourage you to just share a bit of information on your role, and then we can just move on to the presentation.
Lance, you want to start?
Sure. Good morning or good afternoon and evening to you. My name is Lance Noe, and I am the English as a Second Language Director here at Troy University. So if you need some help with your English before you start your academic career, we are here to help you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leandro Suero. I also work here at Troy University with Lance. I'm the Director of International Enrollment at Troy University. In my office, we basically take care of all your applications. We take care of all the recruitment. So if you decide to come to Troy to study, very likely my team will handle your application. You will be communicating with me or with someone from my team. And yeah, all international students who come to Troy, they come through my office. And I guess we're getting started.
Yep, you should. You want to go ahead and get started?
Okay, perfect. So as you know, we're going to cover today some basically fundamental concepts that you're going to encounter as you start applying to universities here in the US. These are terms that might just be only related to admissions to the US. Maybe you have some of the similar concepts in your home country. But again, as you start applying to the US, you might to universities in the US, you might see some words or some terms that you're not familiar with. So hopefully we get to cover those terms today, and then Lance will be also covering a different topic. Probably his topic is going to be more fun than my topic, but just bear with me. We're just going to go through this pretty quickly, and hopefully you get some knowledge about the admission process to U.S. universities. So let's start with the basics, right? So what's a GPA? The GPA is your grade point average. That means that is the average of your the totality of your grades when you graduate either high school or university, right? So in the US, we use a 4.0 system from 0.0 to 4.0. And usually what most universities will do is they will convert that GPA or your whichever grading system that you use in your home country. They will take your transcripts and they will convert it to the 4.0 GPA to determine if you're admissible to the university, right? In some cases, some universities may require you to submit an external evaluation. There are some companies that actually do that evaluation for the university. But I would say in the majority of the cases, the universities have a team of admission people who will grab your transcripts and they will do that conversion, right? Again, as I said before, you can either, this GPA is used nationwide. So if it's either for high school or university, all institutions use it, right? And when it comes to undergraduate and graduate, again, you might encounter some of these terms as well. If you're wondering what's undergraduate, what's graduate. So if you're applying to an undergraduate program, it means that you finished high school, you need your high school degree, and you can apply to either an associate degree or a bachelor's degree. So now what's the difference between an associate degree and a bachelor's degree? An associate degree is a 2-year degree, and a bachelor's degree is a 4-year degree. What you can do is you can do an associate degree, you can finish a 2-year degree, and then those credits are usually worth the same for a bachelor's degree. So you can finish 2 more years after finishing your associate degree, and you can complete your bachelor's degree. Now, once you complete your bachelor's degree, you can apply to a graduate program. As you see here on the screen, in order to apply to a graduate program, you need a bachelor's degree, right? And a graduate program could be a master's program or a doctorate program. Now, similar to doing an associate or bachelor's, you cannot do a doctorate program without doing a master's program, right? So you have to finish a master's program, which usually is a 2 or 3 year program. And then the doctorate program, like what is known also as a PhD, is a doctorate in philosophy. It's way longer than that, because you don't only have to use or you do your coursework, you also have to write a dissertation, and a dissertation could take a couple of years to finish. Probably Lance can talk about that. He's currently working on his doctorate degree as well. Now, the admission requirements. So whenever you're applying to university, there will be a set of documents that you will have to submit. Usually it is a set of transcripts, whether it's your transcripts from your high school or your transcripts from your bachelor's degree, or maybe your master's degree if you're applying to a doctorate degree, right? Another document that you'll be required to submit is your diploma from your either high school or graduate school, like bachelor's or master's degree. In this case, the diploma, I know in some countries, diploma means something different. This is just basically your certificate of graduation. It's the paper that you get when you graduate from high school or from your bachelor's degree, right? Also, English proficiency test. A lot of universities will require you to have an English proficiency test. Rarely a university will accept an MOI. MOI means medium of instruction, which means that if you received your education in English, they may accept that. But in most cases, they will require you to submit an English proficiency test. Some of the industry standards are TOEFL and IELTS, but now there's plenty other tests that you can take and that are also accepted by universities, like the Pearson test of English, even the Duolingo English test, the ITEP is another test, the Michigan English test as well. So there's a wide variety of tests that universities will accept. But again, as I said before, the industry standard is usually either the TOEFL IBT or the IELTS exam. So SAT and ACT, this is mainly for bachelor's degrees. And a lot of universities are now going test optional, meaning that they only use the SAT or ACT to determine if you're eligible for a scholarship, right? But they're not so much requiring it for admission purposes. Again, not all universities. Some universities are still requiring these exams for admission purposes, but not all of them. And then other requirements that you might have to submit are maybe a personal statement, a letter of recommendation. Maybe there's if you're applying to a graduate program, there will be other tests that you have to submit, like, for example, the GRE or the GMAT, right? But again, in a nutshell, the basic documentation that you have to submit are your transcripts, your English proficiency test, and your either high school or university diploma. Now, when it comes to taking a gap year, I feel like that this is usually a question. Some students, maybe they decide to take a break from high school to college. They take that year right after high school, either to gain work experience, to work on themselves, maybe to travel. You can use the gap year for whatever you want. But again, it's usually a break between either getting your high school degree from your bachelor's degree, or maybe your bachelor's degree to your master's degree. But that's just basically a year that you take for yourself to do, again, maybe to gain work experience or something like that. We can move on to the next slide. Oh, perfect. Now, a holistic admission. This is also a good question. Some universities may have extra requirements. I know that in the past slide, we talked about the admission requirements, and usually universities will have an academic focus on your admission decision, right? So they will just look at your GPA, they will look at your SAT or ACT, or maybe your IB classes, right? Your IB credits. But some universities, they take a look at the student as a whole, right? So in this case, if you're applying to a university which has a holistic admission process, they will probably ask you about extracurricular activities, and maybe volunteer work, maybe work experience. They will ask for recommendation letters. They will ask for a personal statement. It could be like anything, right? So a lot of things that are not strictly related to the academic part. So again, a holistic admission will encompass a more than just your grades, right? Now, again, this is something that is more related to when you come to the U.S. to like that immigration process, the I-20 and the DS-2019. So what are these documents? These documents are related to, or these documents are granted by the university, right? Whether you're applying to an F visa or a J visa. So if you're applying to an F visa, you will receive an I-20. If you're applying to a J visa, you will receive a DS-2019. To receive your I-20 or your DS-2019, you will need a financial statement, an affidavit of support if the financial statement is not in your name, and then a copy of your passport. Why the financial statement? The U.S. needs to make sure that when you come to the country, you have enough funds to cover your expenses when you come here. So very likely when you go to your visa interview, right, to get your F1 visa or J1 visa, the visa officer will ask you about your financials to make sure that when you come to the U.S., you will be able to cover the cost, basically the cost of attendance and your personal expenses, right? And as we are talking about the visas, the F1 visa is for full-time academics. Basically, you are coming to the U.S. to complete your program, right? If it is a 4-year bachelor's degree or a 2 or 3-year master's degree or a doctorate degree. So with an F1 visa, you're coming to the U.S. to complete your program. With the J1 visa, it's usually more like an exchange program, right? So J1 visas are granted more when the university has some kind of like program with maybe another institution from your home country, right? And you are coming to the US for maybe 6 months or maybe a year or maybe up to 2 years, right? But you're not coming to the US to do like your whole program, right? Maybe you're coming to the US to finish the last 6 months, or maybe just to do something in the middle of your program. But it is not for the whole duration of the program. And both F1 and J1 visas are non-immigrant visas. So again, they are a visa for a set period of time. Then OPT, CPT, and AT. This is something that maybe you've heard before. And the great thing about OPT, CPT, and AT is that they will give you work experience in the US. We're going to cover a little bit about the funding opportunities when you come to the US at a later slide. But this is like basically a paid job that you get when you are here, right? And you can gain work experience in something related to your field. So OPT means optional practical training, and you can take up to 1 year of work when you come to the US under this term, right? Then CPT means curricular practical training. This is usually maybe like for like an internship or something like that. This is part of your program, and you will do it while you do your program, right? Maybe it is you do CPT during a semester, or maybe during the summer, right? And then academic training is also 1 year, but this is only it's pretty much the same thing, but it's for J students, right? So the good thing about OPT, CPT, and AT is that you do it with your student visa. You don't have to change to a work visa, right? So the student visa, after you graduate, or if it's part of your program, will allow you to stay in the US working, which otherwise it is not allowed for you to work in the US, right? We can move on to the next slide. Now let's talk about the application plans. So some universities, and again, this process is pretty similar, for all universities. There's going to be slight variations, but these are some of the, or most of the application plans that universities use here in the US. For example, if we take regular decision, right? For regular decision, applications are due by a set deadline. So basically, the university will tell you, you have to apply before, for example, you have to apply before May 1st. So you submit your application by May 1st, and then by a specific date, again, set by the university, they will let you know if you are receiving an admission or not to the university, right? So in this case, everything is like, laid clear on the table by the university. You apply before the deadline, and you receive an admission before a set time, again, set by the university. And for rolling admission, the universities basically, they just take your application, and they will just give you an admission decision as soon as they can, right? There's, quote unquote, there is not a deadline. So basically, you just submit your application, and as soon as the university can, they will give you an admission decision, right? In this case, for example, Troy University, at my university, we're using rolling admission. You submit your application, and as soon as we can, we will give you an admission decision. Now, early action. This means that some universities will, even though they have, again, a set deadline, if you apply between a specific set of dates, they will give you an early decision, right? It is non-binding, meaning that you don't have to automatically commit to that university, right? But they have this option that if you apply before a certain date, they will give you an early decision. You don't have to wait for the actual later specific date, like regular admission, right? An early decision is pretty similar to early action, but this is, let's say, quote unquote, binding, meaning that the university will give you an admission decision, and they will kind of ask you to commit to that decision, right? So they will probably ask you maybe to pay for a deposit, for example, right? And in this case, if you pay for the deposit and then you decide to not attend that university that gave you the early decision, you probably will lose that deposit. And now for a restrictive and single choice early action, this means that the university will, again, it's pretty similar to early action, with the difference is that the university will not allow you to apply to other early action programs from other universities, right? Sometimes they will allow you to do like rolling admission if you're applying to other universities, or maybe a regular decision, but you cannot apply to other early action program at another university. If somehow they find out that you're applying to many early action programs, they may just revoke your admission. We can move to the next slide. Now, types of higher education institutions. I'm going to try to go through this quickly so Lance has time to speak as well. A liberal arts university or college, it means that they offer a broad education in humanities, science, and social sciences. This is not like a college or university that has a specific focus. For example, Troy is a liberal arts university, and we offer programs in the area of business, in the area of science, in the area of education, in the area of arts. We have programs like dance, theater, music. We have programs in the area of health. We have nutrition and exercise science, and we have programs in like nursing, for example, right? So again, a liberal arts university, they offer a broad education in when it comes to the programs that they have. Now, then you have research universities, as the name explains. It's self-explanatory, I guess. They focus on research, and they probably the majority of their students are at the graduate level, even though they also offer undergraduate programs. Community colleges offer, if we go back to like the first screen, they offer associate degrees. So you can do a 2-year degree at a community college, and then you can transfer to a university to complete the other 2 years and get your bachelor's degree, right? The advantage of community colleges is that they're usually less expensive than a university. So you can do those first 2 years at a lower cost and then complete your last 2 years and just get your bachelor's degree. And this is, I feel like this is good to explain here, medical school and law schools, right? In this case, or in the majority of the countries, when you apply to a medical school or a law school, you enter the university directly. You enter the medical program directly, or you enter the law program directly, right? In the US, it's a little bit different. You need a bachelor's degree in order to be eligible to enter medical school or law school, right? So you cannot enter medical school or law school without your bachelor's degree. You cannot enter the program directly, right? And then there is not many universities in the US that accept international students to their medical school. There's about like maybe 400 medical schools in the US, and only about 25% of them will accept international students. And I think we can move. I have one more slide. Yes. So this is my last slide. And I just wanted to talk about funding opportunities. I'm sure you all have questions about scholarships and things like that. So the scholarships are usually offered by the university, and most of the time are based either on GPA, basically, again, your grades, or maybe they're based like need-based, right? So maybe some universities will offer scholarship to students who really can't afford to study in the US, right? And then in some countries, there's government-sponsored scholarships. So basically, your government will pay for your education when you come to the US. Another way to basically to cover part of your education is through workshops. So some universities will give the students the opportunity to work on campus up to 20 hours a week. It's a part-time job. I mentioned this before. You are not allowed to work outside campus unless you are doing CPT, OPT, or AT, academic training. In any other case, you are not allowed to work outside campus. You take the risk of getting your maybe your visa revoked. Again, you can be sent back to your home country if you are in violation of your visa, right? So, but yeah, you can work on campus up to 20 hours a week. And now internships, again, usually you can do them while you are on CPT, on curricular practical training. They could be done during the summer. They could be done maybe during the semester, but during the summer, I guess it would be ideal since you're not taking classes. You can do your internships, right? And in most cases, they are like paid internships. And student loans. This is something that I get asked quite a bit about banks here in the US offering student loans. US banks usually do not provide loans to international students unless the international student has someone like a sponsor here in the US, right? Someone like a co-signer, someone who will sign the loan on behalf of the student, right? Because the bank needs to make sure that they're gonna get paid back for that loan. So in most cases, they're not offering a loan to international students. But your home country may offer you some students may decide to apply for a loan in their home country, and usually the universities will provide you with an admission letter and a letter to explaining the bank that you need this bank statement in order to gain admission to the university. And then I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna give the floor to Lance so he can cover his topic. I feel like I've been talking for a while now. Lance?
Hi, everyone. So we are going to talk about common cultural and language mistakes in academic communication. So part of the ESL program is preparing students for an academic career, not just through grammar, reading, writing, and listening and speaking, but also culturally. So some of the things that you're going to learn if you came to the ESL is in American culture. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If we can go ahead and start with the next slide. And I saw that someone asked if this was being recorded, and I do believe it is being recorded. So you can always go back and check that out. Okay, so application letters and application mistakes that we often see is that you are so focused on your grades. So many schools will ask you to write a letter of introduction, especially for graduate school. For ESL, they're not going to ask you for a letter because you're coming to learn how to write the letter. But many programs, especially graduate programs, will ask you to write a letter of introduction. And students focus way too much on their grades. If you're applying for a university, they assume that your grades are pretty good. So try to focus on yourself and your achievements, as Leandro spoke about. The other issue that we see is that some students do not know what they want to write about themselves, or they feel like they haven't done anything to write about. So they write these vague letters that don't really tell us anything about them. So try to be specific in your letter. One great thing about where you are from, if you're watching this, then you're from Central Europe, and that is actually a bonus for you. So I always tell students that their first sentence should be, hello, my name is, and I am from, and state your country. And then you want to say your country 5 times in your letter, because a lot of the people who do read the letters, they read them very quickly and they just kind of skim and scan. So they'll be like, oh, Azerbaijan. Oh, Azerbaijan, this student's from Azerbaijan. It kind of takes a second. So please talk about yourself. And that's our next point. Don't have humility. Americans, we talk about ourselves a lot. I mean, you've seen our president. We love to brag about ourselves. So you have to do that. We want to know what makes you special, what makes you interesting, what makes us want to have you on our campus. Also, being from a place really separates you from other people. So in the United States, we have a lot of Chinese students, a lot of Indian students. So someone just said, great, I'm from Georgia. I love Georgia. It's a beautiful country and I would love to come back there. Make sure that you say you're from the country of Georgia, because we have a state in America called Georgia. But talk about why that's interesting. Talk about why being from Georgia or Azerbaijan or Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, the Baltic countries, why that makes you an interesting candidate. Talk about things that you do that are outside of school and outside of your grades. I know you're like, no, but I'm coming for academics. Yes, but we have 350 social clubs on our campus. So there's lots of things to do. We want you to be active. So all of those things help you stand out. They make you interesting. The next thing I would say is try to stay away from templates, especially outdated templates. Sorry, can we go back to the former slide? Yeah, there we go. Try not to use online templates just fill in the blanks because most of them are really old and this style is really old. And that if someone's looking at your resume or your letter and they see this old style, they kind of get bored. So try to stick with the current templates, and they change about every year, every 2 years. Yeah. So if you're finding it online through Google search, it's probably old. And we've already spoken about stating where you're from. That's so important. Continuously talk about where you're from. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So I am an English teacher, so let's talk about some English language issues. Translating from your language to English does not always work. Some of the idioms or phrases that you might use don't exactly translate the same into English. And I'm going to give you an example in just a few minutes. But things saying something like, I am honored to do that. Like, we don't say that in English. Maybe in a book, we would say that. And in the past, they might say that. But in modern English, we don't do that. So be careful of using the translators and idioms. And that leads me to the biggest problem that we see in students today with everything, with their writing in any form, letters, their academic writing, their research writing, and that is plagiarism. So let's talk about what is plagiarism. Using ChatGPT and just copying and pasting, that's plagiarism. Using your translator. So a lot of students nowadays, they will get on their phone, they will speak in their language. So I speak Korean, so I would be like, 안녕하세요, 잘 지내세요, and then it would come up in English, and I would just copy and paste that. That is plagiarism. That's not your English. That's the computer's English. So that is considered plagiarism. We expect to see some language problems. When we don't see language problems, if your letter is perfect, then it becomes a little suspicious, to be honest. So we are expecting to see a few problems. You're an international student. English is your second language. We would expect to see a problem with some articles, a and the, some prepositions, in, on, to, between, through. Those are the hardest problems in English. And we would expect to see those. So it's okay to have some language issues. It's when it's a little too perfect and the sentence structure is, we can tell when you've plagiarized. We would rather have your real writing so that we can judge what kind of student you actually are. I would also say misinterpreting direct feedback. Americans are very direct, but sometimes that's not so clear to other students. I would also say that in America, in the United States, no answer is an answer. So if you don't hear from someone for a month or 2 months, the answer is no. And there's no need to email them or call them. The answer was no. So sometimes no is an answer. I know that's not very nice, but that's just the way it is. Also, check your emails. And this is something that we find often, is that students will put an email in their application, but they use like their junk email or their email that they don't really use very often. And then we email that address that you gave us, but you're not checking it. So we can't get in touch with you because you did not give us your real email. So whatever email you normally check, that is the email you need to put in your application. And you need to check it. We communicate solely through email. All of our official communication before you come to school and after you come to school is email. So if you're not checking your email on a daily basis when you're at school, when you're in school, then you're missing, because that is our official way of communicating to you. A lot of times teachers will not make announcements in class. They'll send an email. So if you're not checking your email, you're going to miss those announcements. But speaking of email, another issue that we see is that students over email and over call. I'm sure that you would never do this, but some students will fill out the application and then email us to tell us they filled out the application. But if you filled out the application, it's going to go into our queue and we're going to start working on them. We may not see it for a couple of days because there were other people before you. Typically, response times at most universities are 2 weeks. The larger the school, the longer the wait. So at Troy University, we're around 8,000 students. So typically we try to keep it within 2 weeks. If that's wrong, Leandra will correct me. But we try to keep it within 2 weeks after your complete application is submitted. So if your application is not complete, we will email you and say, hey, thank you for your application, but we're missing these things. So that's why it's important to check your email. But typically, it takes about 2 weeks to get everything done. Larger schools, like we have the University of Alabama, they have 30,000 students. It takes them a month and a half because there's so many students applying. Also, check those deadlines. Even though we have rolling admissions, our housing has a deadline. If you want housing, you have to apply early and get your housing application in earlier than our deadline. And unfortunately, your procrastination in meeting that deadline does not become our emergency. Hey, I filled out my application, but I need housing. Oh. If you didn't meet the deadline, that's on you. That's not on the school, unfortunately. So make sure you're checking those deadlines. How do I know the deadline? Check your email. The deadlines are in the emails that we send out. So check your email. Don't use a fake email. All right, let's go to the next slide. If you have any questions, please put those in the chat. We would love to answer those, and I can answer them as we go through as well. So here are some letter mistakes and some things you can do instead. So I humbly request your consideration. No one speaks like that. So you can just say, I'm applying because I have experience in this thing. Tell us why you're applying to our school. Mention your accomplishments, leadership, interest. So let's say that you volunteered for 1 hour feeding puppies. We don't know how long you did that. So just tell us, hey, I volunteered to feed puppies. We don't need to know that it was only an hour, but that's something that you did. So mention those, talk about those things. Even if you think they're small, they could have a big impact. And again, mention your place of origin. You want to be special. Anything that makes you interesting or special helps you in your applications. For graduate school, I always joke, and this is a joke, but I always joke, the more you diversify their program, the more they will diversify your bank account. Meaning the more different you are, the more special you are, it makes their program different and special, and they may reward you with some scholarship to try to get you to come to their school. So there's a bonus of being special. All right, next slide. Email and communication mistakes. So we've already talked about email and how it's important. Americans are very direct. We are very direct, and we also have no patience. So you need to state in your email at the very beginning your want, your need, your desire, and then finish. Don't be overly formal or overly casual, but learn how to write a good email. And I am going to give you some examples because I'm a teacher. Overusing apologies or emotional language. Oh, I'm so sorry. I really apologize. Just tell me what you need. So I know Leandro comes in on Monday. On Monday, he has over 100 emails just from the weekend. So we've got to read those quickly. This Monday, I had 57 emails. Now, most of them I didn't have to read because I knew they were not important. But we have a lot of emails to go through. So being concise and direct we can help you that way. Don't try to be shy. Just tell us what you need. Hi, my name is, I'm from this place. My ID number is this, and I need this. And that's all you need to say. Also, if you have an illness and you're emailing your teacher, please don't tell us what is happening to your body. That is too much personal information. Many of my students, I teach English as a second language, and if they're going to be out sick, they tell me everything that is happening to their body, and I don't need to know that. I just need to know that you are sick and that you will come tomorrow. Okay? All right, let's go to the next slide. So, do's and don'ts of email. Please don't call me prof. That's short for professor. That is okay in spoken language, especially if you know your teacher, but don't do that in an email. Don't call me dude. We are not friends. We are student and teachers. Don't say sir or madam. You should know what my gender is and then say that. But you should use your teacher's name. Dear Dr. Dr. Noe, Dr. Suero. If they're not a doctor and you call them doctor, they're not going to get mad. But if you call them miss and they're a mister, they'll be like, do they know me? Are they emailing the right student, the right teacher? And this is also American culture. The next one, we do not call our teacher teacher. I know this is a hard lesson for many students to learn. All of my students call me teacher, but I have a name. You have a name. I know your name. I call you by your name. I don't call you student. So you need to learn your teachers' names. You're probably only going to have 4 teachers. So it's very important to learn their names and call them by their name. Don't call them teacher. Hey, teacher. Because the teacher's going to look at you, especially an academic teacher, a professor, a doctor, is going to look at you and be like, do you know my name? So really important, learn your teacher's name. When you're emailing them, the information you need to say is your name, your ID number sometimes, and what the class is that you are in. Don't just say English or English 203. You need to be very specific. Like I am in English 203 Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. That teacher may have 4 sections of English 203. Okay. So make sure you're very specific. And someone in the chat said, should we use the first name or the last name after dear? Fantastic question. It should be their last name. So you want to use their last name. So I would be dear Mr. Noe. Inshallah, soon I will be Dr. Noe, but I'm working on my PhD now. Inshallah, please, Allah help me because I want to get it finished. But yeah, so dear Dr. Suero, dear Dr. Noe, that's best. And then that's not a gender. Doctor is not a gender, so you don't have to remember Mr. or Mrs. But always include your name and the course and the clear request. So, and then finish. Don't be like, how are you? I hope you're well. How is your day? Oh, the weather is none of that. We don't have time for that. Just tell us who you are, where you are, and what you need. You will get a better answer that way. All right, next slide. I think we're almost finished. So pro tips, start with a greeting. Hello, dear doctor. Be clear and polite. State your purpose immediately and briefly. Your emails should not be more than 2 sentences. Your first sentence is a sentence of introduction. Hello, I am blah, blah. I am in this class at this time, period. And then what do you need? That's it. Then thank you or best regards, and then your name. Simple, easy. Please don't make demands, especially to admissions. Admissions gets a lot of letters like, you must give me you need to do this, you have to do this. No. That's usually there's not been enough time. So ask politely. And also proofread your email. So I use Grammarly. Even though I'm a native speaker and I teach English, I still use Grammarly. It's very helpful. But proofread your email. And the shorter the email, the better and easier it is to proofread. Okay, the next one. I think this is our last topic. Classroom etiquette. When you go to an American classroom, on the very first day, you're going to get a syllabus. And in the back of the syllabus, usually the last page is going to be the schedule. It's going to say all your deadlines, your due dates, when your test is, what the test is, what the readings are. You should never, ever, ever, never, ever email your teacher asking about a due date. Look in the syllabus. Read the syllabus. It's all there. As a teacher, we must give a syllabus with all the due dates and the timeline. We must. We have to. So you should never email your teacher, when is the deadline? Look at the syllabus. Now let's talk about culture. In the United States, we encourage students to question and argue with the teacher. We love it. I know in some cultures that's not okay. But in this culture, in the United States culture, that is very much encouraged. We want you to do that because it shows us that you read the stories, you read the articles, you understand the information, and you have questions. You want more information. A teacher loves it when you ask questions and argue with them. But here's the problem with international students. They think that stuff is not important, so they just zone out. They get on their phone or they start looking around the room. But here's the problem. 80% of your test in the United States is going to be based on the lecture that happens in class. The teacher takes notes after each class, and they will create their test around the questions that were happening in class. So if you're not listening in class and taking notes during the class discussions with the other students, you're missing 80%. Only about 20% comes from the readings. So listening in class is very important. I always encourage our international students to sit in the front. Typically they sit in the back, but sit in the front. Another cultural thing is don't ask the teacher questions at the end of the class. You should ask the questions in class, but I don't want to interrupt the teacher. We want you. We want you to interrupt. We want you to stop us. We want you to do that. We want you to ask those questions in class so that we can talk. And also, the more the teacher knows you and the more you interact in class, the better your grades are. If you sit in the back, the teacher has no idea who you are, what you are, and you have a grade that's almost it's a 78, which is a C, but they know you and they're like, oh, this student's really good, actually. I can see that they've made some mistakes, but this student's really good. Your grade could go up to a B. They may give you an 80% because they know you. But if they don't know you and you sit in the back, they have no reason to help you. They have no reason to be like, oh, yeah, that student's a good student. I understand. I know that's not maybe not fair, but that's just the way it is. And personal space. If I can touch you with my hands, you're too close to me. Americans love space. We love a bubble. So don't stand too close to an American. All right, next slide, I think, is just examples. Yeah. So cultural differences are normal. I have been to every country that is in this, watching this right now. I've been to Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. I've been to all the Baltic countries, Croatia, Serbia, Moldova, Macedonia. I've been to all of them. So I had to learn the cultural differences. You will learn the cultural differences. And then you're not alone. Look, every student has to learn this. But communication is a skill, and it is a skill that you need to build. And we had a question, what if I only have 11 grades instead of 12, like in the US? Is that a problem? That's a great question to start our Q&A, because Leandra will have to answer that question. So thank you for listening to me. We do have one more slide that's got our email addresses on there. So if you want to, yeah, there. But we can start the Q&A. So Leandro, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, for sure. I'll take it. So I know we are short in time, so I'm just gonna try my best to be concise. But so basically, what some universities, at least what we do here at Tree University, we consider your last 3 years of high school. We understand that in some countries, the last 3 years of high school will be like grades 9, 11, and 9, 10, and 11. Like here in the US, it's like 10, 11, and 12. So to process your admission, we will need the equivalent to the last 3 years of your high school, right? In this case, if your last year is 11, we will take your transcripts from 9, 10, and 11, and we will process your admission with those transcripts.
Thank you, Leandro. Oh my God, what a nice message we have in the chat, Lance. Have you seen that?
I know, I saw that. Thank you so much.
Encourage you for your doctoral
Thank you.
thesis.
Spasiba.
We have.
I don't know which language I'm supposed to speak, so I'll just try to say thank you in many languages.
All the languages. Okay. And another question that we also got in advance. I'm not sure whom can answer that. So how should international students convert their grads from another evaluation system into GPA? So I guess here is
yeah, sure. I can take that one as well. I think I mentioned this during my part of the presentation, but again, in most cases, most universities will have a team that will convert your grade, basically your GPA, into our GPA. Some universities might require you to get an external evaluation, but there are some like free resources out there that you can use. For example, I don't want to like plug any advertise anything here, but for some free resources like Scholaro, for example, Scholaro.com, they have like a lot of like grading systems from all over the world. Very likely they will have your grading system, and it will show you what your grades are equivalent to in the US, right? And that will kind of like give you an idea, maybe not precisely like exactly what your GPA would be like, but it will give you an idea if you are in the range of a B+ or a B- or a C+, right? And that will, again, you can use that to apply when you're applying to universities. If a university is requiring you to have like a 2.5 GPA in order to be admitted, if you can see that your grade is, or your GPA is about like a B, for example, you know that you're on the 3.0 range, and you may have a chance to get admitted to that university. So hopefully that helped.
Thank you. The next question, could we ask from our professors help to adapt if we need it? Question from Azerbaijan.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. So we also have support services. So we have disability services. So if you have a disability or you have some kind of mental disability, we have services that will help you. Your professors are always happy to help. So if there's something you don't understand, like you've read the readings, you listened to the lecture, every professor has office hours. Their office hours are listed on the syllabus. You just make an appointment and you go to their office hour. and they're happy to help. Absolutely. And then international student services. If you have a question about your visa or your housing, we have international student services. They are there to help you in any way possible. And then I also see the next question. I think
Yes.
it's probably
The
for
last
me.
one. Some international students say that they were very active in their own country, but when in USA, they have hardship to communicate. Is that a common problem?
Yes. So I'm going to give you an example. When an American says hello to you, and they ask you, how are you? What did you learn to say? What did you learn to say? It's probably, I'm fine, thank you, and you. I'm fine, thank you, and you. You sound like a robot. Americans don't say I'm fine. When we say I'm fine, it means stop talking to me. So one of the biggest mistakes I see is Americans will be like, hey, how are you? And they're like, I'm fine. To an American, that means, okay, stop talking to me. So it's hard to make friends when you've told everyone, stop talking to me. Americans express themselves. I'm good, I'm bad, I'm hungry, I'm sad, I'm sleepy, I'm hot, I'm cold, whatever it is. So tell them how you're feeling. Oh, I'm nervous. I have a test today. Oh, yeah, I have a test today too. It starts a conversation. Also, the other thing we see is that students don't get active on campus. They go to class, they go home. They go to class, they go home. And they usually go home to someone who speaks the same language as they do. So conversation partners, we have conversation partners. So you sign up, we match you with an American student, and you meet them once a week. The first time is very formal, but then after that, you start meeting on your own. Typically, they take you to their house, they take you to parties, they take you other places, and you meet people. We also have a huge fitness center on campus. Leandro knows more about sports than I do. I do not know anything about sports. I know about theater and art, which we have theater and art on campus. Leandro, there's intramural sports.
So what Len said, like we have a lot of things going on campus at all times. We have like musicals, we have plays, but also we have sports, and we have intramurals, which is students, they get together, they form their own team. Let's say let's take football, or our soccer, football, right, for example. And students, I see students all the time playing football on one of the practice fields, right? So if you like football, you like sports, just go there. Like they're playing, they will just welcome you with open arms, because like the more the merrier, right? And also the college sports that we have, like we have baseball, we have American football, we have basketball. Is a great way to meet people. We do something called tailgate here in the US, which people meet outside the stadium before the games to like eat, to hang out, to basically like cheer on the teams. And again, it's a great way to meet other students, other people there. Everyone is welcome. And you see someone like cooking like hot dogs or something, they might just be like, hey, do you want a plate? And you just meet those people and you make friends there. So yeah.
Thank you both for the advice. I also think that the fact that there are a lot of international students, that also is very easy for the students to start communicating, and you will not get so shy starting a communication. So there are a lot of like-minded individuals like you, so you don't have to be shy. Yes, Lance, I think you wanted to say something.
So someone just said, Pervani said, we are always repeating these words. I'm going to tell you something as an English teacher. The only difference between my English and your English is not my grammar. It is not my speaking. It is vocabulary. If you are not studying vocabulary, then you are not learning English. There is a thing called the academic word list. You can find it online. It's completely free. And those are the most common academic words. And they're usually listed as the noun version, the verb version, the adjective, and the adverb. If you start studying that list, then you are going to be much better at English than most people. Because honestly, The only difference between my English and your English is vocabulary. Leandro is an English learner. He is from Argentina, where they speak Spanish. So, but his vocabulary is fantastic. So, he's able to communicate very well because his vocabulary is good. His speaking is terrible.
Sure.
I'm trying.
Okay. We have 2 more questions. Let's try to be fast answering those 2. Sure. Are there any competitions like a sport? So I think Leandro started on that. If we can just say something.
Yeah, I can speak on that a little bit more. So if you're asking if you can be part of the competitions, we are what is called a Division 1 college when it comes to sports. So it's highly competitive. So if you play a sport or one of the sports that we offer, and you are really good, you are like, say, you play for a basketball team in your country, and the basketball team is the best in your country, you might have a chance to play at the basketball team here at Troy. But if you just like sports, because you like to attend sporting events, yeah, we have year round. We have sports year round. We have football in the fall. The football season is about to start. The baseball season just ended or is about to end. So again, if you like to attend sporting events, we have sports year round.
Great. And the last one, how can we learn speak fluently in English, which we would ask Lance to answer very quickly.
So 2 things. Study the academic word list. That's going to improve your vocabulary. It's free online. There's about 2,000 words. Second, watch TikTok. I know that sounds crazy, but TikTok is short and it's usually very interesting. But the other thing I would say is don't study for more than 15 minutes at a time. If you study more than 15 minutes, your brain does not comprehend. 15 minutes, take a 30 to 45 minute break, come back, do 10, 15 minutes, take a break, come back, do 10, 15 minutes. I tell students do some minutes in the morning, some in the afternoon, just walking to class, and some at night. That's all you need. But it keeps it in your brain.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ubot, for the presentation and for all these great advices, tips. I see that the students really like that. We are very happy that you guys enjoyed it. I already can see that in the chat. And we have here a survey. We submitted that in the chat, and we also have a QR code on our screen, so you can scan that and put your feedback for our today's session or for the session you want us to do in the future. Thank you, Lance. Thank you, Leandro. We really appreciate, once again, your expertise. And we really hope that we can do in the future more webinars like that, and we can focus more on the English language and we can focus more on the international department also. We really appreciate your time today, and we wish you guys good luck with your application and with your research.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. I just want to say thank you so much for having us. This is a great opportunity, and thank you for everyone who attended.
Thank you. And please go see your Education USA officer in your country. They will help you a lot.
Thank you.